No, sir. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Hey, there it is. Can you hear me now? I think I know what the problem was. Yep. What's up, King? How you doing today? Restart it. You doing all right? 8 minutes. All right, let's see if this works now. Testing. There we go. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm not too bad. Not too bad. I've had I don't know. I've come down with some kind of weird sickness in my throat over the last like 4 or 5 days that I've been trying. I'm almost over it, which is kind of crazy. I haven't done any videos, but at the same time, there's a little controversy with the videos going on right now because I keep getting some copyright stuff going on, and I got two of my videos that got taken down already. And I mean, y'all seen my videos, so y'all know what's going on, but it is what it is, right? So there may be a chance that my content may change a little bit. So how was y'all's day? What all y'all do today? Everybody had a nice day at work. So how was y'all's day? What all y'all do today? Everybody had a nice day at work. We need to turn that off. So how was y'all's day? Because that is gonna echo like crazy. Oof, the DMV, that sucks. That's never fun. Trying to go to the DMV here in Texas, terrible experience. Absolutely terrible. It's always what's the thumbnail for the video from? Which video? For this? The stream? Yeah. So I'm up here. Gotcha. I'm up here around Dallas. Anytime the DMV is in consideration for the day, it's usually planned out for an entire day. Because unless you've had an appointment held for like weeks on end to get there, chances are you're not going to get seen anyway. So, oh, that's from. I didn't know it was still set to that. But okay, so what that is from? I'm part of the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and the motto for us is vets helping vets. And the guy kneeling down is actually me, and the the group of guys that are around me are part of our chapter officers at that time, and that's all of our bikes that are right there behind us. Alabama. I would ask what part of Alabama, but I'm not from Alabama, so I really wouldn't know where the fuck you're talking about anyway. But I'm from Mississippi. That's where I was born and raised. So, but yeah. So that's where that come from. Matter of fact, you can see our little doohickey here. The hat I usually always wear. It's a great organization. Like all they have their shortcomings as well, but for the most part, they're a good organization and they mean well for sure. Hey, thank you for your support. Hey, from the cold Minnesota, you can keep the cold up there. I don't know. Being honest, I'm really weird when it comes to the cold because I will go outside when it is super cold outside. Most people are usually like around here is usually like anything under 65 degrees people start putting jackets and stuff on, and I'll still be coming into work from the gym in like shorts and a t-shirt, like sweating my ass off. And it's not like and I'll be like, moseying in. It's not like I'm like, I'm cold hurts your bones. But I don't know. I'm just weird like that, but I hate the cold. Oh, I know where Talladega is. I think everybody should know where Talladega is, to be honest. Last weekend it was -20. The coldest I've ever been ever was when I went to the peak of Zugspitze, which is a mountain range in Germany. And it was, I think, -35 or -40. It was stupid cold. You're in North Carolina now, lived in Minnesota 3 years, and don't miss that cold. I still have not had a chance to go to Talladega. All right, I just got a message saying that they'll begin shortly. I'm eager Where you get stationed in Germany? You was in Hohenfels? Yo, you was right next door, baby. I was over there in Velsic. No, I was in Velsic. Or Grafenwehr, whichever you want. It's all one and the same. But I was actually on Velsic part over in 2CR. You get to play God and walk on water? You mean after it freezes? We will begin shortly. I'm so interested to see how he's going to botch this up, to be honest. Okay. They started the live feed, so let's see if I can get. Oh shit. Hey, forgive me, I'm unprepared today. So this is gonna look jacked up for a minute. Jeez, I am super unprepared. Yeah, my channel popped up in your feed. What's the channel about? Well, all right. So here's the thing. My channel is actually about trying to spread the word. All right, come on, right button. There we go. Trying to spread awareness and stuff for PTSD amongst veterans. And I started the channel out not wanting to really do like music stuff, like music reaction stuff. Yeah, my head MP company there was 615th. Okay. But that very well may change because of the fact that I keep getting like copyright, like threats of copyright strikes.
Mr. Speaker, the President
and the last thing I'm trying to do is get my channel taken down because of greedy ass motherfuckers. So, all right. So, to be 100% honest, I'll be surprised if my channel don't get fucking spanked because I decided to stream this. So, I didn't figure that any of y'all really cared much about the little lady on the side doing the sign language stuff, so I kind of edited her out. Why am I not surprised to see him walking down the thing, kissing on the ladies? If you want to do a music video reaction, check out Daryl Worley, the 22. I've actually gotten a request for that a few times. I'll do it. Angel Flight, that one gets me. I'm not gonna lie. I've actually heard that one before. That's a good one. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. The funny thing is I like this whole setup that I have. I like originally built this setup to like stream gaming stuff, and then I just kind of lost touch with the whole gaming thing, really. My big thing now that I'm really into, as far as like hobbies right now, is like I'm really big into my Jeep. Super lucky. Like, speaking of lost touch, right? I feel like this is gonna turn into a roast session. There's no, I don't know, man. I actually had the honor of bringing back 2 soldiers on Angel Flight. Dude, Jacob Crazy Studios, welcome to my final test. You're Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast rap video, watch now. Please. We're gonna. You talking about the Squid Game versus Mr. Beast rap battle? Is that what we're going on with right here? All right, let's get this back to full screen. All right. Yikes. Oh, I forgot. What's her name? I forget what her name is now.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor to present to you the President of the United States.
Yeah, I'm uber curious to see where the conversation goes.
Thank you. You can smile. It's okay.
Can y'all hear it all right?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Please.
Because their volume is not very high. I have that turned all the way up.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys up there. Members of Congress.
That ain't no shit. Because that thing flew across the states far longer than it needed to, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, we had to have a safe place to shoot it down."
Justice, I may need a court order. She gets to go to the game tomorrow, next week. I have to stay home. Got to work something out here. Members of the Cabinet, leaders of our military, Chief Justice, Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, and to you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
That's Nancy Pelosi. That's the one I was thinking of. I forgot that she stood down.
Speaker, I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you.
At least he's honest.
I want to congratulate the new leader of the House Democrats, the first African-American minority leader
how
in
dumb
history,
is he?
Hakeem
I
Jeffries.
don't want to ruin your reputation.
He won in spite of the fact I campaigned for him. Congratulations to the longest-serving leader in the history
I
of the
know.
United States Senate, Mitch
It's-
McConnell. Where are you, Mitch?
It's amazing how much they clap.
And congratulations to Chuck Schumer, another, another term as Senate Minority Leader. I think you, only this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader. You're the majority leader. About that much bigger? Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I want to give special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered the greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, that's. Oh, no. That was a. Terrible. Terrible. Just terrible.
Folks, the story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward,
Yeah.
of never, ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs. More jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years because of you all, because
No.
of the American people.
Sorry. That's not true.
2 years ago,
I'm sorry. That's
years
not
ago,
true.
COVID had shut down, our businesses were closed, our schools were robbed of so much, and today, COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced
I'm
its
willing to
greatest
bet.
threat to the Civil War, and today,
I
though
agree.
bruised,
100%.
our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
All right. So the beauty.
As we gather here tonight, we're writing the next chapter in the great American story, a story of progress and resilience. When world leaders ask me to define America, and they do, believe it or not, I say I can define it in one word, and I mean this: possibilities. We don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything is a possibility. You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. You came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact,
They haven't really done a very good job with that either. To be 100% honest.
it's important.
All of the veterans. All of the
In fact,
veterans are sitting down not saying
I
shit.
signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president, from reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, the Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for
Probably
Marriage
the
Act,
most
protects the
any
right to marry
president
the
has
person
ever
you
done.
love.
I'll
To
give
my
him that.
Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. I think
Sit down.
folks,
Stop it.
you all are as formed as I am, but I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting. Power for the sake of power. Conflict for the sake of conflict.
They
gets us
gonna bring it
nowhere.
in at the end. Don't worry.
That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not no one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. Along the way, something else we lost: pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things, to make sure our economy works for everyone.
Bro,
So we can all feel that pride in what we do.
if Hacksaw
Build an
Jim
economy from the bottom up and the
Duggan
middle
came in
out.
there,
Not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well.
It would be
We all
on.
do well. I know a lot of you always kid me for always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. He really would say this. It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about
What's it
your
about?
dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay.
I'm not gonna call my fucking kids
Well,
honey, just so you
Let's
know,
look at the results.
honey.
We're not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low.
No, it's not.
A near record unemployment. Near record unemployment for black and Hispanic workers. We've already created, with your help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years. And where is it written? Where is it written that America can't lead the world in manufacturing? And I don't know where that's written. For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Folks,
I swear, it seems like
inflation.
being the president has become
Inflation
more of
has
a
been global
popularity
problem
contest
because
than
the
anything
pandemic
else.
Disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies, blocking all that grain in Ukraine. But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are
Hey,
down.
God bless you,
$1.50
man. I
from their
appreciate you
peak.
coming, man.
Food
Appreciate the
inflation is
sub.
coming
Hope
down.
to see
Not
you
fast
again in the
enough, but coming
comments.
down. Inflation has fallen every month.
We'll do some
for the
other.
last
We'll do
6
some other
months,
kind of live
while
stuff later
take-home
on.
pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses. 10 million. And by the way, every time someone starts a small business is an act of hope. And Madam Vice President, I want to thank you for leading that effort to ensure that small businesses have access to capital and the historic
imagine
laws
so.
being enacted that are going to just come into being. Standing here last year, I shared with you a story of American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything, from cell phones to automobiles and so much more. These chips were invented in America. Let's get that straight. They were invented in America. We used to make 40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%. We all saw what happened during the pandemic when chip factories shut down overseas. Today's automobiles need 3,000 chips in each of those automobiles.
Just smile, laugh.
But American automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips. Car prices went up, people got laid off. So did everything from refrigerators to cell phones. We can never let that happen again. That's why we came
The
together.
number one way to fix
passed
that problem was to
Bipartisan
let our
Chips
boys
and
start
Science
drilling
Act.
again. Just saying. The number one hit to our economy was the fact that the fuel prices went up.
I know I've been criticized for saying this, but I'm not changing my view. We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America.
I'm on board with that,
We've already created.
but the economy's not going to get any better until we fucking start drilling our own oil again.
800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country. throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years. Outside of
Word
Columbus,
salad,
Ohio,
Kamala.
Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs
DJ,
at one
what's
investment.
up?
7,000 construction jobs, 3,000 jobs in those
Oh, he
factories
is.
once they're finished.
100%.
Call them factories.
And you can tell. You
Jobs
just literally, you
paying
can
an
just
average
watch
of
the gas stations,
$130,000 a year.
and you can tell every
Many
time that
do
they
not
dip into
require
it.
a college degree.
What's going on, Deborah?
Jobs. Because we work together, these jobs where people don't have to leave home to search for opportunity. And it's just getting started. Think about the new homes, the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses. So much more that's going to be needed to support those 3,000 permanent jobs and the factories that are going to be built. Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans, and they'll tell you what this means for their communities. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know, we used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure.
Why does he sound so mad?
But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system. And folks, already we've funded over 20,000 projects, including major airports from Boston to Atlanta to Portland. Projects that are going to put thousands of people to work rebuilding our highways, our bridges, our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet.
I just want to put out there, trying to drive through
Urban,
Dallas.
rural, tribal. And folks, we're
It's a
just
nightmare.
getting started. We're just getting started. And I mean this sincerely. I want to thank my Republican friends who voted for the law, and my Republican friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry. I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects. And I'll see you at the groundbreaking.
No, you won't. No, the fuck you won't.
Look, this law will further unite all of America. Projects like Brent Spence Bridge in Kentucky over the Ohio River, built 60 years ago, badly needed repairs, one of the nation's most congested freight routes, carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River.
Yep.
Folks, I've been talking about fixing it for decades, but we're really finally going to get it done. I went there last month.
It's like they've been rebuilding the east side of 635 through Dallas
to deliver a commitment of $1.6
for the last 12
billion
years
for this project. And while I was there, I met a young woman named Sarah, who's here tonight. I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are you? Well, Sarah, for 30 years, I learned, she told me she'd been a proud member of the Iron Workers Local 44, known as
I couldn't agree more, DJ.
In the sky.
Could not agree more.
The folks who built Cincinnati's skyline. Sarah said she can't wait to be 10 stories above the Ohio River building that new bridge. God bless her. That's pride. And that's what we're also building. We're building back pride. Look, we're also replacing poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes in America.
Yeah.
400,000 school and child care centers. So every child in America can drink the water instead of having permanent damage to their brain. Look, we're making sure
This dude's a clown.
We're making sure that every community in America has access to affordable high-speed internet. No parent should have to drive by McDonald's parking lot to help them do their homework online with their kids, which many thousands were doing across the country. And when we do these projects, and again, I get criticized for this, but I make no excuses.
I'm going to be 100%
We're going to
honest.
buy American. We're going to buy American.
I don't necessarily disagree with gas stove. I kind of agree with that because if
And
a
it's
home,
totally,
can I pause this
totally
shit?
consistent.
I can't. If the power goes out in a home and you have an electric range, so for instance, my house right now, I have an electric range. If the power goes out, I have no way to cook food. If a house has gas, then obviously the gas doesn't go away. It still goes. So you can still cook food. So that I can agree with. But forcing everybody to do it, I disagree with.
Consistent with international trade rules. Buy America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have fought to get around it. Not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America.
Molten salt reactors? I've never heard of that.
Made in America.
Poor pin.
I mean it.
I need to look that up. I've never heard of that before.
Lumber, glass, drywall, fiber optic cable. And on my watch, American roads, bridges, and American highways are going to be made with American products as well. Folks, my economic plan is about investing in places and people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening.
Yeah, of course, and nuclear.
I know you feel it.
1,000
many of you
times
felt like you've
better.
just simply been
1,000% better than coal.
Amid the economic upheaval of the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind.
How sustainable is
Treated
it?
like they're invisible. Maybe that's you watching from home. Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you? The folks at home remember them. You wonder whether the path even exists anymore
Yeah.
for your children to get ahead without having to move away. Well, that's why I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. You know, this is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you lay in bed at night like my dad did, staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name happens if your spouse gets cancer, or your child gets deadly ill, or something happens to you. What are you going to have? You get money to pay for those medical bills? Or are you going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it? I get it. I get it. With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring health care costs down so you can sleep better at night with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs.
Trying to
any
claim the tips
nation
too,
in the
I'm
world.
guessing.
Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than any major nation on earth. For example,
He's
1
stealing
in
all
10
of this from
Americans has
Trump.
diabetes. Many of you in this chamber do, and in the audience. But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive. Insulin's been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted to be
Insulin's
available.
actually been around longer than that because our
Cost the
bodies
drug
develop
companies
insulin.
Roughly $10
So,
a bottle
there's
to make
that.
that insulin. Packaging and all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore. Not anymore.
They got the hands up for dramatic effect.
So many things that we did are only now coming to fruition. We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to do it, but people didn't know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare.
I'm glad I'm not on
People
insulin
are just finding out.
yet.
I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting. Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type 1 diabetes who need this insulin to stay alive. Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35.
I thought you already did that. Yeah,
Folks,
I do remember that.
the big
Gonna
pharma's
cure
still going to
cancer.
do very well, I promise you.
No, you're not.
I promise you, they're going to do very well. This law also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025. Costs, out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare at a maximum of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know why? You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10,000, $11,000, $14,000, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. If drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices, bringing down.
This is all the
Bringing
same
down
shit that
prescription
Trump
drug
said
costs
two
doesn't
and
just
a
save
half years
seniors
ago,
money.
something like that.
It cuts the federal
We're above 8
deficit
years.
by billions of dollars. By
I
hundreds of
remember
billions of
before
dollars.
Trump got out of office,
Because these
he did a
prescription
press
drugs
briefing about all this
are
exact
drugs
same shit.
purchased by Medicare to keep their commitment to the seniors. Well, guess what? Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why would we want that? Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm not going to exaggerate, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it.
Of what?
I will. No mistake. If you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it.
Does anybody know what the fuck he just said?
Look,
Something jobs.
I'm pleased to say that
But
more
they-
Americans
everybody's
have
clapping like they
have
know what he
health insurance
said.
now than ever in history. A record 16 million people are enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. And thanks to the law I signed last year, saving millions or saving $800
Yeah,
a year
Pepperidge
on the
Farm
premium.
remembers.
By the way, that law was written and the benefit expires in 2025. So my plea to some of you, at least in this audience, let's finish the job and make these savings permanent. Expand coverage of Medicaid. Look, the Inflation Reduction Act is also the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever.
Climate
Lowering
change.
utility bills. creating
Climate
American
change has already
jobs,
been
leading the world to a
debunked.
clean energy
Like,
future.
it's
I
not
think
even-
it's
it's really not
in
even
the
a thing.
aftermath Of record
I mean,
floods,
it
droughts,
is
storms, and
to a certain
wildfires.
degree, but not the
From
way they're
Arizona
trying to make it out to
Mexico
be.
all the way up to the Canadian border. More timber has been burned, as I've observed from helicopters, than the entire state of Missouri. And we don't have global warming? Not a problem. In addition
don't.
to emergency recovery, from Puerto Rico to Florida to Idaho, we're rebuilding
was-
for the long term. New electric grids that are able to weather major storms. And
Yeah,
not
we just had an
prevent those
ice storm in
forest
Texas for
fires.
3 days last week.
Roads and water systems withstand the next big flood.
In Texas.
Clean energy to cut pollution and create jobs in communities often left behind. We're going to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations installed across the country by tens of thousands of IBEW workers. And we're helping families save more than $1,000 a year with tax credits.
Man,
Purchase electric vehicles and efficient appliances, energy-efficient appliances. Historic conservation efforts to be responsible stewards of our land. Let's face reality. The climate crisis doesn't care if you're in a red or blue state. It's an existential threat. We have an obligation, not to ourselves, but to our children and grandchildren, to confront it. I'm proud of how America, at last, is stepping up to the challenge.
why?
We're still going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what? No, we do.
I wish it was easier to
But
tell
there's
what the
so
hell
much
kind of
more
pin
to
that was
do.
on his lapel.
We got to finish
You know
the
what I'm saying?
job. And we pay for these investments in our future by finally making the wealthiest and biggest corporations begin to pay their fair share. Just begin.
And right, please.
Look, I'm a capitalist.
What's up, Emily? How you
I'm a
doing?
capitalist, but pay your fair share.
Usually,
I think a lot
Kamala,
of you at home,
the flag that Kamala's
you at home
wearing
agree with me,
on
and
her
many
lapel
people
is
that you
usually
know.
the type of flag
tax
the
system
president
is
wears.
not fair. It is not fair. Look, the idea that in 2020, 55 of the largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits and paid
That's great.
zero in federal taxes? Zero? Folks, it's simply not fair. But now, because of the law I signed, billion-dollar companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. God love them. 15%. That's less than a nurse pays.
Oh, is it really?
And let me be crystal clear. I said at the very beginning, under my plans, as long as I'm president, nobody earning less than $400,000 will pay an additional penny in taxes. Nobody, not one penny. But let's finish the job. There's
I don't
more
know if
to
that's
do.
going to work.
We have to
So I won't
reward
have to
work,
pay
not
any
just wealth.
taxes at all. Sure,
Pass my
okay.
proposal for the billionaire minimum tax. You know, there's 1,000 billionaires in America. It's up from about 600 in the beginning of the term. But no billionaire should be paying a lower tax rate than a school teacher or firefighter. I mean it. Think about it. I mean, look,
I'm not going to lie.
I know you aren't enthusiastic about that.
I
but
should
think
have poured me a glass of Maker's Mark for
about
this.
Have you noticed Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits? Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis. I think it's outrageous. Why? They invested too little of that profit to increase domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells, all the oil
I
refineries
didn't know that.
anyway, so why should we invest in them?
Learned
So we're gonna
something
need
new
oil
today.
for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed.
So they must not have liked Trump then, because he
Beyond
had one like Kamala's.
We're going to need it. Production.
Because you know they got
They
to
had, in
protect
fact,
the fuck
invested
out
in
of
the
out of
production
full
to keep
fucking
gas prices down. Instead, they used the record profits to buy back their own
old
stock,
Biden.
rewarding their CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing. That's why I propose we
him from
quadruple the
falling
tax
off
on
shit and
corporate
everything.
stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments. They'll still make considerable profit. Let's finish the job and close the loopholes that allow very wealthy to avoid paying their taxes. Instead of cutting the number of audits for wealthy taxpayers, I just signed a law to reduce the deficit by $114 billion by cracking down on wealthy tax cheats.
Tax
That's being
cheats?
fiscally responsible. In the last 2 years, my administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.1 $1.7 trillion. The largest
okay, that's
deficit
cool.
reduction in American history. Under the previous administration, the American deficit went up 4 years in a row. Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor. Nearly 25% of the entire national debt that took over 200 years to accumulate was added by just one administration alone, the last
That's
one.
not true. I know that for
They're the
sure.
facts. Check it out. Check it out. How did
Everybody
Congress
knows that
respond to
shit's
that
not
debt?
true.
They did the right thing. They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times without preconditions or crisis. They paid American bills to prevent an economic disaster in the country. So tonight,
Our
I'm
economy
asking
was
the
never
Congress to
better
follow suit.
when with. Oh
Let's
my
commit
God.
here tonight to the full faith and credit of the United States of America will never, ever be questioned. So some of my Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are.
Right?
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not
We
saying
could
it's a
take
majority.
our economy and move it back 8 years and be in a better
Let me
position
give
than we
you-
are right now.
Anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. And I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress
They're all
doesn't keep
laughing
the
at him.
programs the way they
No,
are,
you
they go away.
don't.
Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look, folks,
Well, this is going over well.
the idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks, as we all apparently
Okay,
agree,
cool.
Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be started. All right.
Yeah. He was probably giving the
got
old paddle
unanimity.
before he came in. Don't be calling no names, boy. We're gonna get you when you get done.
Social Security and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them.
I noticed they changed the topic real quick too.
So tonight, let's all agree, and apparently we are. Let's stand up for seniors. Stand up and show them. We'll not cut Social Security. We will not cut Medicare. Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned it. And if anyone tries to cut Social Security, which apparently no one's going to do, and if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I'll stop them. I'll veto it. And look, I'm not going to allow them to be taken away.
Why is he
not
staring at
today,
the
not tomorrow,
Republicans?
Not ever. But apparently it's not going to be a problem. Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan, I ask my Republican friends to lay down their plan as well. I really mean it. Let's sit down together and discuss our mutual plans together.
Right?
Let's do that. I can tell you, the plan I'm going to show you is going to cut the deficit by another $2 trillion.
Yeah, I doubt
And it won't
that.
cut a single bit of Medicare or Social Security. In fact, we're going to extend the Medicare Trust Fund at least 2 decades, because that's going to be the next argument. How do we keep it solvent, right? Well, we'll not raise tax on anyone making under 400 grand, but we'll pay for it the way we talked about tonight, by making sure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. Look. Here's the deal. They aren't just taking advantage of the tax code. They're taking advantage of you, the American consumer. Here's my message to all of you out there. I have your back.
Oh no,
We're already
that's
preventing Americans from receiving surprise
that's very
medical
much
bills.
normal most of the time.
Stopping $1 billion surprise bill.
Most everybody in
so
there is
far.
usually over like 60,
protecting
50 years old.
Seniors' life savings by cracking down on nursing homes that commit fraud, endanger patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars because they can finally get a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription. Look, capitalism without competition is not capitalism. It's extortion. It's exploitation. Last year, I cracked down with the help of many of you on foreign shipping companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country. I signed a bipartisan bill that cut shipping costs by 90%, helping American farmers, businessmen, and consumers.
Probably.
Let's finish the job. Pass the bipartisan legislation to strengthen antitrust
That ain't no
enforcement and prevent big online platforms from giving their own products an unfair advantage. My administration is
You
also
stand up.
taking on junk
You stand up.
those hidden surcharges too many companies use to make you pay more. For example, we're making airlines show you the full ticket price up front, refund your
Isn't
money
that what they normally
if
do?
your flight is canceled or delayed. We've reduced exorbitant bank overdrafts by saving consumers more than $1 billion a year. We're cutting credit card late fees by 75% from $30 to $8. Look,
Get your ass up on
junk
man.
fees may not matter to the very wealthy, but they matter to most other folks in homes like the one I grew up in, like many of you did. They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. They make it harder for you to pay your bills or afford that family trip. I know how unfair it feels when a company overcharges you and gets away with it. Not anymore. We've written a bill to stop
know,
it
right?
all. It's called the Junk Fee Prevention Act. We're going to ban surprise resort fees that hotels charge on your bill. Those fees can cost you up to $90 a night at hotels that aren't even resorts.
$90 a night at
The
a hotel
idea
is not that bad.
that cable, internet, and cell phone companies can charge you $200 or more if you decide to switch to another provider. Give me a break. We can stop service fees on tickets to concerts and sporting events and make companies disclose all the fees up front. And we'll prohibit airlines from charging $50 round trip
You
for
right.
family just to be able to sit
I won't
together.
lie though, it happens times.
Baggage
Sometimes
fees
it
are bad
happens.
enough.
It happens.
Airlines can't treat
Being
your
honest,
child
and
like
now
a
it
piece
shouldn't
of
be something that
baggage.
happens all the time, but it
Americans
does
are
happen.
tired
That's
of
happened to
being-
me once or twice.
We're tired of being played for suckers. So pass the Junk Free Prevention Act so companies stop ripping us off. For too long, workers have been getting stiffed, but not anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For example, I should have known this, but I didn't until 2 years ago. 30 million workers have to sign non-compete agreements for the jobs they take. 30 million.
I had to sign one for
So
where
a
I'm working.
cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. It just changed. But they just changed it because we exposed it. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it up. But not anymore. We're banning those agreements so companies have to compete for workers and pay them what they're worth.
I can get down on that. But that's not
And
the
I must tell
reason.
you,
That's not the reason to not
bound to get a
compete
response from my friends
exists, though.
on my left but the right. I'm so sick and tired of companies breaking the law by preventing workers from organizing. Pass the PRO Act. Because business have a right.
Pass the Prozac.
Workers
What?
have a right to form a union.
What did you say?
And let's guarantee all workers have a living wage. Let's make sure working parents can afford to raise a family with sick days, paid family medical leave.
I have to say this because this whole minimum wage bullshit should not be $15 fucking an hour. I'm sorry. If you work at Burger King and that's all you choose to or inspire to do the rest of your life, you deserve to get Burger King kind of pay. There's so many motherfuckers in this world that want big boy pay but don't want to do the big boy work that's involved in getting that big boy pay. I'm sorry. If you want to do something that gets paid like you have a skill, go earn a skill so you can get paid. Like, I'm in the same boat with you, Emily. When my very first job that I ever had, minimum wage was $5.25 an hour. And I got paid $5.25 an hour working McDonald's. And then my stupid ass, because I let some girl get in my head, I quit my job, and then I had to find another fucking job, still working at $5.25 an hour. It's like, then I finally joined the Army, and I got out the Army. Now I make like just shy of $30 an hour. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't learn a skill. So, I mean, go learn a skill so you can be better than minimum wage. In my opinion, minimum skill equals minimum wage.
And let's restore the full child tax credit, which gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room and cut child poverty in half to the lowest level in history. And by the way, when we do all these things, we increase productivity, we increase economic growth. So let's finish the job and get more families access to affordable quality housing.
I think it should be child
Let's get
abuse
seniors
if a parent
who want
can't
to
take
stay
care
in
of their
their homes,
kids
the care they need to do so.
financially.
Let's give more breathing room to millions of family caregivers looking after their loved ones. Pass my plan so we get seniors and people with disabilities the home care and services they need. And support the workers who are doing God's work. These plans are fully paid for, and we can afford to do them. Restoring the dignity of work means making education an affordable ticket to the middle class. You know, when we made public education, 12 years of it, universal in the last century, we made the best educated, best paid, we became the best educated, best paid nation in the world.
We'll get into that after this
the rest
is
of the
over.
world's caught up.
My first job was
Jill, my
McDonald's.
wife, who teaches full time, has an
I
expression.
only worked there twice.
I hope I get it right, kid. Any
I worked
nation
at
that out-educates us is gonna
Applebee's one
outcompete
time.
us. Any nation that out-educates is going to outcompete
The
us.
rest of my life,
Folks,
I either
we all
worked as a
know 12
mechanic
years of education is
or
not
I
enough
worked
to win
as
the
a
economic competition of 21st century.
carpenter.
We want to have the best educated workforce. Let's finish the job by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. Studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school and go on to earn a 2 or 4 year degree, no matter their background.
That's not
they came
true.
from. Let's give public school teachers a raise.
I can get down on that. But to a certain degree,
We're making
think-
progress.
I think that raise should be
by
reflected
reducing
in the
student
amount of
debt,
effort that they put
increasing
into
Pell
their
Grants for working and middle-class families.
curriculum.
Let's finish the job and connect students to career opportunities starting in high school. Provide access to 2 years of community college, the best career training in America, in addition to being a pathway to a 4-year degree. Let's offer every American a path to a good career, whether they go to college or not.
He's talking out his ass now.
And folks, in the midst of the COVID crisis, when schools were closed
Even though they didn't need to be.
and we were shutting down everything, let's recognize how far we came in the fight against the pandemic itself. While the virus is not gone, thanks to the resilience of the American people and the ingenuity of medicine, we've broken the COVID grip on us. COVID deaths are down by 90%. We've saved millions of lives and opened up our country. We opened our country back up, and soon we'll end the public health emergency. But that's called a public health emergency. But we'll remember the toll and pain that's never going to go away. More than 1 million Americans.
I agree
lost
with
their
that,
lives to
Deborah.
COVID. 1 million. Families grieving. Children orphaned. Empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you that she used to sit there. Remembering them, we remain vigilant. We still need to monitor dozens of variants and support new vaccines and treatments. So Congress needs to fund these efforts and keep America safe. And as we emerge from this crisis,
He's had a lot of practice
we've also
reading
got to
those
double
prompters.
down on prosecuting criminals who stole relief money meant to keep workers and small businesses afloat. Before I came to office, you remember, during that campaign, the big issue was about inspector generals.
Yo, you should
who
see
would
the
protect
education that my
taxpayers'
kids are
dollars over the
getting.
sideline. They were
Blows my
fired.
fucking
Many people
mind.
said we don't need them.
But they're
Fraud
homeschooled,
became
so
rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back. Since then, we've recovered billions of taxpayers' dollars.
my son's in
Now
third
let's triple
grade,
the anti-fraud
and
strike
he's doing
force
like
going after these
multiplication and
criminals,
division
double
in
the
the third
statute of
grade.
limitations on these crimes, and crack down on
Crazy.
identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing billions of dollars from the American people. And the data shows that for every dollar we put into fighting fraud, the taxpayers get back at least 10 times as much. It matters. It matters. Look, COVID left its scars, like the spike in violent crime in 2020, the first year of the pandemic. We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe. Public safety depends on public trust, as all of us know. But too often that trust is violated. Joining us tonight are the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome.
Who's Tyree Nichols? Did I miss something?
We had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, or playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children, I never had to have the talk with them. I never had to tell them if a police officer pulls you over, turn your interior lights on right away. Don't reach for your license. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Imagine having to worry like that every single time your kid got in a car.
Here we go.
Here's what Tyree's mother shared with me when I spoke to her. When I asked her how she finds the courage to carry on and speak out. With the faith of God, she said her son was, quote, a beautiful soul, and something good will come of this. Imagine how much courage and character that takes. It's up to us, to all of us. We all want the same thing.
Yo,
Neighborhoods
all right,
free of violence.
y'all can't see this. I'm about to adjust
Law
this so y'all can see
enforcement
this.
who earns the
Next time it
community's
pops up,
trust. Just as every cop
already
that
know
put on that badge in the morning has a right
whatever
to be able to go home
number-
at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely. Equal protection under the law is a covenant we have with each other in America. We know police
they
officers
keep
put
they
their
keep
lives on the line
scrolling at the
every
bottom
single
right there
day.
that I just opened up.
And we know
They
we
keep
ask them in
scrolling
many cases to do too
a
much to be
phone number
counselors,
to
social
text
workers,
Biden.
psychologists responding to
I could just
drug overdoses,
imagine
mental health
how
crises,
much
and so
that
much
number is
more.
getting trolled right now.
In one sense, we ask much too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority.
See?
But they risk. And they risk their lives every time they put that shield on. But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often. We have to do better. Give law enforcement the real training they need. Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges. More resources to reduce violent crime and gun crime. More community intervention programs. More investment in housing, education, and job training.
I can agree with that.
All this can help prevent violence in the first place. And when police officers
But it has
departments
nothing to do
violate the public
with
trust,
any kind of race or
must
anything like
be
that. I'm
held
sorry.
accountable.
You're not going to convince me of that.
with the support of the families of victims, civil rights groups, and law enforcement, I signed an executive order for all federal officers banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, and other key elements of the George Floyd Act. Let's commit ourselves to make the words of Tyler's mom true. Something good must come from this. Something good. And all of us, folks, it's difficult, but it's simple. All of us in this chamber, we need to rise to this moment. We can't turn away. Let's do what we know in our hearts that we need to do.
You called
Let's come
the
together to
White
finish the
House
job
and the
on police
VA
reform.
hotline?
Do something. Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met with every one of them. Do something about
I'm not
gun
going to lie.
violence.
I didn't watch it last year.
Thank God. Thank God we did. Passing the most sweeping gun safety law in 3 decades. That includes things like that the majority of responsible gun owners already support. Enhanced background checks for 18 to 21 years old. Red flag laws, keeping guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and others. But we know our work is not done. Joining us tonight
Right.
is Brandon Say, a 26-year-old hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side. His mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon,
I did.
Brandon now works at the dance studio.
I actually
started
watched the
by his
whole thing
grandparents.
too.
And 2 weeks ago,
Or well, I
during
didn't.
the
I
Lunar
didn't
New
watch
Year
it like
celebration,
physically,
heard the
but I
studio
listened to
door
the whole
close.
thing while I was
he
working.
saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him. He thought he was going to die, but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11. He saved lives. It's time we do the same. Ban assault weapons now.
Nope.
Ban them now. Once and for all.
Not gonna happen, son. I tell you what.
I led the
Please,
fight to do
please
that
come to
in
try to take mine away from me.
1994. In 10 years, that ban was law and mass shootings went down. After we let it expire in the Republican administration, mass shootings tripled. Let's finish the job and ban these assault weapons. And let's also come together on immigration. Make it a bipartisan issue once again. We now have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month. Unlawful migration from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down 97% as a consequence of that. But American border problems won't be fixed until Congress acts. If we don't pass my comprehensive immigration reform, at least pass my
You're not
plan
wrong.
to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border.
You're not wrong at all.
And a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those on temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Here in the People's House, it's our duty to protect all the people's rights and freedoms. Congress must restore the right and the...
I can't understand what they're
Congress
saying.
must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade.
Oh God.
Give every woman a constitutional right. The Vice President and
I
I
don't
are
believe
doing
in. I don't
everything
believe in abortion. Sorry.
to protect access to reproductive
I don't think abortion should
health
be.
care and safeguard
If you
patient
don't,
safety.
if you don't want to have to worry
Already,
about
more than a dozen
an
states are
abortion,
enforcing extreme
don't
abortion
fucking
bans. Make no mistake
create a
about
baby.
it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it. But let's also pass the Bipartisan Equality Act
Yeah.
to ensure LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with safety and dignity. Our strength,
They were already living in safety and dignity until they started trying to ram
our
that shit
strength
down
is
everybody's
not
throat.
just the example of our power, but the power of our example. Let's remember the world's watching. I spoke in this chamber 1 year ago, just days after Vladimir Putin unleashed his brutal attack against Ukraine. A murderous assault, evoking images of death and destruction Europe suffered in World War II. Putin's invasion has been a test for the ages, a test for America, a test for the world. Would we stand for the most basic of principles? Would we stand for sovereignty? Would we stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny? Would we stand for the defense of democracy? For such defense matters to us because it keeps peace and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity. 1 year later, we know the answer. Yes, we would, and we did. We did. And together, we did what America always does at our best. We led. We united NATO. We built a global coalition. We stood against Putin's aggression. We stood with the Ukrainian people. Tonight, we're once again joined by Ukraine's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. Our ambassador is here, we're united in our support of your country. Will you stand so we can all take a look at you? Thank you. Because we're going to stand with you as long
So
as it
the
takes.
United States State of the Union address required her to be there.
Our nation is working for more freedom, more dignity, more peace, not just in Europe, but everywhere. Before I came to office, the story was about how the
I have no
People's
idea.
Republic of China was increasing its power, and America was failing in the world. Not anymore. We made clear, and I made clear in my
Yeah,
personal
I can see,
conversations,
yeah.
which have been many, with President Xi, that we seek competition, not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing to make America stronger. Investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating. Investing in our alliances and working with our allies to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us. Modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, we're in the strongest position in decades to
So
compete
with-
with China or anyone else in the world. Anyone else in the world.
We
And
still
I'm
haven't.
committed.
We still haven't come across the topic of this fucking balloon that's floated across the United States over the last 7
Committed
days.
to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
It was too late then.
Look,
That shit should have been shot down as
Let's
soon
be
as it
clear.
was found.
Winning the competition should unite all of us. We face serious challenges across the world. But in the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracies have grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me
It
one.
wasn't you.
Name me one.
Damn, he's so mad.
America's rallying the world to meet those challenges, from climate to global health, to food insecurity, to terrorism, to territorial aggression. Allies are stepping up, spending more, and doing more. Look, the bridges we're
Facts.
forming between partners in the Pacific and those in the Atlantic, and those who bet against America are learning how wrong they are. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Never.
He's not wrong. However, like DJ said, our military is the weakest it's been in a very long time.
Well, when I came to office, most assured that bipartisanship assumed was impossible, but never believed it. That's why a year ago I offered a unity agenda to the nation as I stood here. We made real progress together. We passed a law making it easy for doctors to prescribe effective treatments for opioid addiction. We passed the gun safety law, making historic investments in mental health. We launched the ARPA-H drive for breakthrough in the fights against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, and so much more. We passed the Heath Robinson PACT Act, named after the late Iraq War veteran whose story about exposure to toxic burn kits I shared here last year. I understand something about those burn pits, but there's so much more to do. We can do it together. Joining us tonight is a father named Doug from Newton, New Hampshire. He wrote Jill, my wife, a letter, and me as well, about his courageous daughter, Courtney. A contagious laugh, his sister's best friend, her sister's best friend. He shared a story all too familiar to millions of Americans and many of you in the audience. Courtney discovered pills in high school.
Yep.
It spiraled into addiction and eventually death from a fentanyl overdose. She was just 20 years old.
Damn, he changed the subject. I didn't even fucking
Describing
know.
the last 8 years without her, Doug said, "There's no worse pain." Yet their family has turned pain to purpose, working to end the stigma and change laws. He told us he wants to start a journey toward American recovery. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. Big, you got it.
I hate to say it, but if he finished the fucking
So let's
wall,
launch a
those
major
numbers would
surge
go
to
down.
stop fentanyl production.
That's just
and
facts.
sale and trafficking.
Because they just
More
walking
drug
past the
detection
motherfucker right
machines,
now.
Inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border. Working with couriers like FedEx to inspect more packages for drugs. Strong penalties to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children. When millions of young people are struggling
What the
with
fuck is
bullying,
mental
violence,
health going to
trauma,
help with the board or with
give them greater
fentanyl?
access to mental health care at their schools. We must finally hold social media companies accountable for experimenting or running children for profit. It's
Right.
time to pass bipartisan legislation to stop big tech from collecting personal data on our kids and teenagers online. Ban targeted advertising to children and impose stricter limits on the personal data that companies collect on all of us. Third, let's do more to keep this nation's one truly sacred obligation to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home. Job training, job placement for veterans and their spouses as they come to return to civilian life. Helping veterans afford the rent, because no one should be homeless in America, especially someone who served the country.
Obviously, I'm going to be on board with that. We have too many homeless vets as it is.
Dennis McDonough is here of the VA. We had a first real discussion when I asked him to take the job. I'm glad he did. We were losing up to 25 veterans a day on suicide.
Yeah.
Now we're losing 17 a day to the silent scourge of suicide. 17 veterans a day are committing suicide.
The number is way higher than that right now.
Folks, VA is doing everything it can, including expanding
True.
mental health screening, proven programs that recruits veterans to help other veterans understand what they're going through, get them the help they need. We got to do more. And fourth, last year, Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that I was able to start with President Obama asked me to lead our administration on this issue. Our goal is to cut the cancer death rates at least by 50% in the next 25 years. Turn more cancers from death sentences to treatable diseases. Provide more support for patients and their families. It's personal to so many of us.
I'll look
so many
into
of
it
us
for
in this
sure.
audience. Joining us are Morris and Candice.
I know a
Irishman
guy
and
that
daughter of
probably
immigrants from
that used to
Panama.
live in a
They
community
met and
of
fell in love in New York City and got married in the same chapel Jill and I got married in New York City.
veterans,
Kindred
homeless
spirits.
veterans.
He wrote us a letter about his little daughter Ava, and I saw her just before I came over.
Nice.
She was just a year old when she was diagnosed with rare kidney disease, cancer. After 26 blood transfusions, 11 rounds of radiation, 8 rounds of chemo, 1 kidney removed, giving a 5% survival rate. He wrote how in the darkest moments he thought, if she goes, I can't stay. Many of you have been through that as well. Jill and I understand that like so many of you. And he read Jill's book describing our family's cancer journey and how we tried to steal moments of joy where we could with Bo. For them, that glimmer of joy was the half smile of their baby girl. It meant everything to them. They never gave up hope. Little Ava never gave up hope. She turns 4 next month. They just found out Ava's
Oh
beating
boy,
the
looks like he's about to
odds,
cry.
is on her way to being cured of cancer.
Oh, that
She's
must be his
watching
kid that
from
they're
the
talking
White
about.
House tonight, and she's not asleep already. For the lives we can save. For the lives we can save and the lives we've lost, let this be a truly American moment that rallies the country and the world together and proves that we can still do big things. 20 years ago, under the leadership of President Bush and countless advocates and champions, he undertook a bipartisan effort through PEPFAR to transform the global fight against HIV/AIDS. It's been a huge success. He thought big. He thought large. He moved. I believe we can do the same thing with cancer.
I don't know, man.
Let's end cancer as we know it. Cure some cancers once and for all. Folks, there's one reason why we've been able to do all of these things. Our democracy itself. It's the most fundamental thing of all. With democracy, everything's possible. Without it, nothing is. For the last few years, our democracy has been threatened and attacked, put at risk, put to the test in this very room on January the 6th. And then just a few months ago, an unhinged big lie assailed and unleashed a political violence, the home of the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, using the very same language the insurrectionists used as they stalked these halls and chanted on January 6th. Here tonight in this chamber is a man who bears the scars of that brutal attack, but is as tough and as strong, as resilient as they get. My friend Paul Pelosi. Paul, stand up.
Get out of here.
Such a heinous act should have never happened. We must all speak out.
That was all a
There's no place
hoax.
for political violence in America. We have to protect the right to vote, not suppress that fundamental right. Honor the results of our elections, not subvert the will of the people. We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions of democracy. And we must
Dagner,
give
what's up?
hate and extremism in any form no safe harbor. Democracy must not be a partisan issue.
Mr.
It's an
DUI.
American issue. Every
There are
generation of
frequent-
Americans has faced a moment where they have been called to protect our democracy, defend it, stand up for it.
Back in the
this is our
1940s, but I
moment.
think Big Pharma had a
Our
guy,
fellow Americans,
or had the
we
guy.
meet tonight at an inflection point. One of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide.
It's not bad. It's
course
not
of this
bad. We
nation
making
for
it
decades to
day
come.
by day.
We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. It's within our power of we the people. We're facing the test of our time. We have to be the
Y'all see what he
nation we've
just did
always
there,
been at
right?
our best. Optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking.
We the people.
Nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos. We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. We're good people. The only nation in the world built on an idea. The only one. Other nations are defined by geography, ethnicity. But we're the only nation based on an idea that all of us, every one of us, is created equal in the image of God. A nation that stands as a beacon to the world. A nation in a new age of possibilities. So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the
Backbone.
State of the Union is strong. I'm not new to this place. I stand here tonight having served as long as about any one of you have ever served here.
This motherfucker
But
served
I've
longer than
never
some of them
been more
motherfuckers been
optimistic
alive.
About our future, about the future of America. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
All right. Hey, let me tell you. You could grow an apple tree in a week with all that bullshit. All right, so we're not gonna watch this dude walk out. I'm gonna shut this shit off. That shit, I'm done without. All right, so he spoke for what, about an hour and 25 minutes, and practically said nothing. Did not even touch on the on the whole fucking balloon thing that happened. And still, he's still taking, still taking credit for everything that Trump did as he was leaving office. And I mean, I'm not no, I like Trump, but I mean, I wasn't part of the Trump train, so to say. I do not like Biden because I view, like, when I see him, I see a weak individual, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do not see a man inside him. All right, brother. Did you know that they knew about the balloon on January 27th? That was 2 weeks ago now. Hey, DJ, take care of yourself, man. We'll see you in the next one. But January 27th. Wow. I'm not surprised though, to be 100% honest. I mean, as big as one of those balloons are, you know what I'm saying, it should be able to be picked up off radar pretty easily. So them being able to see that shouldn't be a hard thing to do. And if it came from China, of course, my biggest question is how did they, you know what I'm saying? They filled it up with a bunch of helium. And how did they know what direction it was going to float? If it came, like, assuming it actually came from China. But yeah, so yeah, if they saw it in Alaska, they have so much open space in Alaska, Canada, Montana, all of those rural states in northwestern America, to include and to extend it out into Canada, Alaska. They could have shot that motherfucker down a long time ago, but that was a choice. They chose not to. All right, Deborah, have a good one. I'm about to wrap this up in a minute anyway. So, yeah. So he said literally nothing the whole time he was on there. Just regurgitated everything that he said last year, pretty much, from my understanding. It is what it is, though, right? No, I mean, well, it's like I liked Trump for what he did. I'm like right there on board with what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Because he put our country in a good way. You know what I'm saying? I didn't agree with a lot with the methods that he took to do a lot of things. One of the things that I loved about him was the fact that he wasn't afraid to tell nobody how the fuck he felt. It wasn't about your feelings, it was about business. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was there for, was to take care of business. That's what I liked about Trump. Fuck your feelings. Let's take care of business. Well, now, what I did not like about is that he played the petty game. I think that he would have been an even better president had he not played into all of the liberal bullshit and played the petty game in, on Twitter and all this other shit. He left that shit alone and just let that be it, whatever it was, and just let them do their thing and then just take care of business. I think had he done that, I'd have been way more on board. But I mean, it's like I said, it is what it is. I hold nothing against the man. Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever not like I don't know if you've ever listened to him like speak with other people, but he talked to everybody the same way. You know what I'm saying? I listened to him do an interview with a couple of different like radio announcers, and the way he talks to them, he talks to every person the same, like the same way that he talks to Nancy Pelosi, even though he'll make snide remarks and stuff, whatever. But the same way he talks to her until she starts in on her dumb shit is the same way he would talk to anybody else, no matter who you are, what walk of life you come from, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He'll talk to you like an actual individual. But Trump's, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think when he started in on the petty stuff is really what hurt him the most. But I don't know. I hope I hope somebody takes the reins soon that can point this country in a better direction, because it ain't looking good right now. At least gas is affordable right now. I mean, I guess I have to say at least that. All right, partner, have a good one. We'll see you in the next one. But I think that's gonna be it for me. I appreciate everybody that came. Y'all have a good night. That's it for me. I'm sorry that we couldn't have had a better State of the Union address, but it is what it is. Y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all in the next one. Love y'all.